Hey, what's up, you guys? My name is Esley Greer from Entertainment Fanatic Reviews, back with another review in the Evil Dead franchise. And today I'll be talking about Evil Dead 2, which, again, I am joined by Derek from Derek's Horror Corner. So, yeah, let's get into this review. As always, I let my guests speak before I do. So, take it away, Derek.
Hey, this is Derek from Derek's Horror Corner. Thanks again, Esley, for letting me be on your channel and collab with you for the Evil Dead franchise. This time we're doing Evil Dead 2, and I really enjoyed this movie a lot on rewatch. My biggest negative with this movie would be the first 1/3 of this movie. I don't like how they had to retcon the first movie, and I don't like kind of how it was done. And I don't like a lot of the humor in the first part of the movie. It feels really forced with like that beginning scene where he's like floating through the air and it's really cheesy. I also don't really like that scene where like the deer head's laughing and the lamp's laughing and he's laughing. Like there's some over the top humor moments that don't work in the beginning of the movie for me. That's my biggest negative. But like as you get into the movie, I really like the last 2/3 of this movie. Like the movie settles in and it gets a little bit more serious. You have that nice idle hands moment. Well, I guess this movie came first. So like where his hand's possessed and he's got to cut it off. And I like the whole thing with his hand. That was really awesome. I like how the demons look in this movie. They're really creepy, especially Henrietta. Demon Henrietta is really creepy, like in regular form and like when her head mutates. I thought that was really cool. I like how like the demons' faces mutate and they look really weird sometimes. I feel like the visuals were way better in this one than the first one. Like the demons looked really good. They had some really creepy, weird visuals, some over the top blood spurting. Like I just felt like the graphics on this movie were really awesome, especially compared to the first one. Obviously, Bruce Campbell takes it up another notch from the first one, and he is just awesome in this movie. Like, he's very charismatic. He's good at being, like, serious and heroic, but also funny when needed. Like, every time he's just talking, I'm hooked on what's going on in the movie. So I love Bruce Campbell's performance. I love Demon Henrietta's performance. She's like really creepy, and you always got to remember the I'll swallow your soul moment. That's always pretty hilarious. And I actually do like the ending of this movie better than the first one. I think the ending makes more sense where they read the missing pages of the book, they do this chant, they expose the tree, and then Ash and the tree get sucked into like the portal and teleported to the Middle Ages, and then that sets up like Army of Darkness. But I feel like the ending made more sense, the graphics were better, and just the ending was way better executed than the original. So I really enjoyed this movie upon rewatch. I thought it was really awesome and right on par with the first one, and I would grade it an A.
I know you didn't really care for this film to begin with, but over time, upon rewatch, I know you liked it a little bit more, which I'm glad that you did. Because I enjoy this one more than the original Evil Dead. I will put that out there. I don't think it deserves an A, in my opinion, but we'll get into that in a second. But I'm glad we're more eye to eye on this one than we were the Evil Dead. I always talk about my negatives, so might as well talk about them. So first up, if you've seen the Evil Dead, it's its own story, of course. It's a regular cabin in the woods type film. And then you watch this one. It isn't a remake, and it's not a sequel either. Or it is, but it's the same movie as the first, just with a little bit of a different story. They do take out a few elements that were in the first. They take out a few characters that were in the first, but we all know why. Well, another thing that I didn't like is that they don't expand upon the setting. The setting is the cabin in the woods. I just don't like that they didn't expand it. I would have loved to have seen it take place somewhere else. I don't care where. I will say this film does drag a bit within the first third, because it's pretty much the same film as the first for the first third. So the cinematography isn't as good as the first one was, which is something I don't remember if I brought up in that review. But this cinematography is not as good as the first. Even though they do recreate a few scenes from the first, they do that almost perfectly. But other than that, there's just some average shots in there, And another thing, some of the special effects were cheesy, but not in a good way. But with that said, I'm going to talk about my positives. As always, Bruce Campbell as Ash Williams does a phenomenal job in all these films. And he brings something new to the table in this film. There's comedy, and there's also scenes where you feel for him, and just he plays the character perfectly. The comedy in here is good, for the most part, and I love Ash's one-liners in this, especially groovy. This film is also batshit insane, just like the first, but it's more tolerable. I love the scenes with Linda's corpse; those are phenomenal and pretty wicked. I love how it's its own film. For the first third, it's pretty much the first one, but then, there's different characters introduced, and so it's pretty much its own film. And there's a lot of WTF moments, but in a good way. Like they're just you remember those moments. They're just really out there and bizarre. I know I said some of the effects do look a bit really cheesy, but some of them look phenomenal. I forgot the character's name, but I know Derek made a reference to, I don't remember if it was Greta, I forgot the name. I watched it the other day and I already forgot. He makes a reference to that set character to Zelda, like from Pet Sematary. And I definitely see it now. I'm glad that you pointed that out. That's really wicked and terrifying. Like I said before for the original one, I have so much respect for the cast and crew and everyone involved. I have so much respect for them on set. I think they went through more shit in the first and the second, but there's still some big WTF moments that happen behind the scenes and shit that they have to do. So, again, I have so much respect to the cast and crew and everyone involved. So with that being said, I do like this film better than the original Evil Dead, but I will say it is not a great film, but it is a good film. So with that said, I will give the Evil Dead 2, Dead by Dawn, a 7.75 out of 10. Thank you, Derek, for joining me. And if you found any entertainment in this video, let me know in the comments below. With that being said, don't be scared. To like, comment, subscribe, and share would be highly appreciated. And peace.